So hello and welcome back to the Computer Lab, or indeed if you are new here then welcome to the channel. So today I'm going to be taking a look at this Engenius ECW220S wireless access point. Now if you're not familiar with wireless access points, and if you've just got a sort of standard router at home or at your business and you're struggling with your Wi-Fi, then this is what we install around businesses, around large domestic properties, outdoor events and stuff like that. So this is what I tend to install generally. I tend to go for Wi-Fi Ubiquity, but I have done some Engenius ones since they've been sending me this stuff. So it is a really good access point. This is a Wi-Fi 6, and I will read the spiel off the actual website so you get a general idea. So like I said, I'm going to be doing an unboxing of this particular product, show you what you get for your money. This is about £300 in the UK for this single device. You will need a PoE injector or a PoE switch, something like this, if you are going to power it. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at your costings. But I'll read the general spiel off. The product highlights that Engenius is saying about this. It's obviously Wi-Fi 6, it's 802.11ax 2x2 cloud managed indoor wireless access point. So obviously they do some outdoor ones, as you can see behind me. This is sort of the outdoor managed access point from Engenius, but this one is the indoor one. It's got dual concurrent 802.11ax Wi-Fi 6 architect and backward compatibility, and it's calling it supercharged speeds of up to 1200 megabytes per second, 5 gig, and to give you some sort of idea, a wired connection of 1 gig, which is what most computers have. They are going to 10 gig now, but most of them are at 1 gig still. That's 1000 megabytes per second. So it's going to be quicker in theory using their 5 gigahertz channel, and then up to 600 megabytes per second on the 2.4 gigahertz. It's got 1 GBE, realizes greater throughput and supports 802.AF and 48 volt PoE input. So the 48 volt PoE is interesting because obviously it's a higher voltage, so that allows you to carry the PoE to a further distance, and they're saying installations over 100 meters or 328 feet if you're in America, for the Imperial guys out there. It's got wireless security detection and protection for WIDS and WIPS radio. It's got WPA3 WPA2-AES authentication support, cloud managed with AP and mesh mode, quick scan device register and configuration, remote monitoring and troubleshooting. Cloud manages an unlimited number of APs from anywhere. That's using the Engenius cloud key or their cloud software. And it's got mesh wireless support, simplifies setup, optimizes signals, self-heals. So the self-heals is a bit extravagant, I think, because usually we wouldn't have a job if we weren't, us network guys wouldn't have any jobs if these things self-healed. We always tend to have to log in to see what's going on with networks. So let's have a look at what you get for your money. So like I said, this is the Engenius Cloud Network Wi-Fi Access Point ECW220S. Interestingly, it says Facebook Wi-Fi enabled. Again, I'm not going into too much detail about that, but basically it allows you to use Facebook for the login portal. If you're in a cafe, for example, takes you to their website and stuff like that. So let's get into this box. Got a couple of seals on it, so let's just take the seal off. And let's get in, see what you get for your money. So we'll just put this to one side like so, and we'll have a look at what you get. So you get the actual switch itself, obviously. It feels quite well built. Aluminium back on it. This red sticker is just covering the serial number. But yeah, the aluminium back on it, plastic front, feels quite solid. Let's just have a quick measure of it to give you a rough idea of the size. About 6.5 inch square, or for the metric guys, about 170 mil. Interesting, it's got the lights on the front, got a Kensington Lock as well, which is interesting. Stop the old tea leaves taking it. PoE Ethernet, DC in if you haven't got PoE, so you can use a power adapter, and a little reset switch on the underside, and look somewhere to mount your brackets. What else do you get in the box? Get the usual instructions, how to connect it to the Engenius cloud service. Nothing else in there. And I presume this is the mounting kit, which it is, set of screws and some roll plugs. And looks like you get two different styles of wall mounting or ceiling mounting brackets, which I'm presuming clicking to the back somehow yeah, so they just go in there. So obviously you would mount that on the wall first, and then that just slides in so you can click it into position on your wall or wherever you are mounting it. So that's quite nice. Usually the UniFi stuff can be not complicated, but it's a bit more complicated than a little slider like that, which is seems to be a bit easier to use. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about how you set these up in the cloud environment, but you basically connect it up to a PoE switch, which I'll do now, and I'll put the camera on, because what happens is you get the it connects up, power goes to the actual device, and then it will start up. The Engenius ones tend to take a bit longer than the UniFi, but it's usually, you know, 3 to 4 minutes. The lights will light up, and if there's a firmware that it needs to adopt, or a firmware that needs to be installed on this device, then all the lights blink instantaneously, and then that will then update the firmware, and then they all go back off, it restarts, and then you can obviously adopt it into your cloud environment. I will go through that process now, but we'll connect it up. I'll put the camera down so you can see the lights flashing onto it. But let's get it connected up to PoE. If I can get the connected to the switch. So like I said, this is an Engenius PoE switch. I'm just going to connect it up into the actual device, and then we should see the lights start to flash on the front. So you see the red light comes on for the power. So I'll put it down there, and we'll put the camera down on this version here so you can see what's going on. But the lights will start to flash, the 2.4 gig, the LAN light, and the 5 gig light will start to switch, and then we can adopt it into the network. So we'll go onto the computer. I'll just show you me adopting it into my network environment, and then we'll have a quick look at the Wi-Fi speeds and see what we can get when I'm sat sort of on top of this device. So as you can see, I am already logged into the cloud.engenius.ai, which is the portal or online cloud environment to manage your account and devices. So I'm going to click on access points, and you can see there is currently nothing in there. So down to the bottom, go to inventory, and I'm going to register a new device. I've got my Sky key and my PoE switch already there. I'm going to click on register device, and I'm going to manually enter the serial number. Now you can do this via your phone, and you can scan that QR code, which you can see in the corner there, via the Engenius app, and it works pretty much just the same as like I'm doing here. The difference is you don't have to enter the serial number, you can just check it. Once you put the serial number in, which is on the back of the device or on the side of the box, all you need to do is click on register, and that will, as long as the serial number is correct, it will register that device into your Engenius cloud account, which you can see now. So I've got 3 devices all registered in my inventory list. This has still not been assigned to my LAN, or the correct LAN, or my correct network, should I say. So I need to, once I've checked everything and updated the firmware, so I'm just going to back up to the top, go to access points, and I should just be able to add it in here. So add from inventory, select the access point, click apply, and it adds it into the inventory, as you can see. Currently not showing anything, but that is because the firmware update is still being applied or downloaded. So it's worth just bearing with this. It could take anything up to 10 15 minutes to even longer, depending on your internet speed. But the thing to check here is to make sure the serial number is correct and the MAC number is correct as well, the MAC address for your device. Once you've done that, then you should be able to refresh. But you see there's still no LAN IP or anything like that showing, no firmware version. So I'll give it a second, keep an eye on the actual access point itself. And then once it's done that, you can then refresh the device. So I'm just going to go back in and out, refresh it, and then see if it picks it up. It has done, and you can see on the side there it says firmware version, and it's got a little arrow suggesting it needs to update. And I think that's purely because it's not talked back to the cloud to say, look, I've got this firmware version. So if I click on this, for example, there, it will say, do you want to upgrade? If I click on it there and there is no upgrade available, it will tell me that there is no upgrade. So if it's saying by clicking that it's going to upgrade, if I click it, it will say you're already up to date. And when I go back in, it'll probably be refreshed. So don't get too tied up with that. You can see the different versions by clicking on the more button, and it lists them off for the device that you're looking for. So obviously in our case, we'd find the right one, the ECW220S, and just check the version there, 1.5.4, go back to our access point, and then we could check that version is correct. Let me just go back into it, into access point, and there we go. And you see there the firmware version is 1.5.4. So we're all up to date, and now the arrow is gone. We've got a LAN and a WAN. We just need to go now into the Ssid to set up our Wi-Fi. So I'm going to add. SSID. Just going to call this the computer lab. If it lets me have the characters, it does. And then you can see obviously all the configurations here, but I'm just going to put a generic password in just for this test. Click apply in the corner there. Successfully created. I've allowed the 2.4, the 5 gig and the 6 gigahertz for the radio. So now the Wi-Fi will be showing, so I can connect to it from my iPhone 13 Pro Max to have a look and do some speed tests. Okay, so I've got my speed test tool hooked up here, and incidentally, if you want to know how to make them, then I'll put a link up in one of these corners here. That's another video that I've done. But I've got the speed test tool hardwired into the switch, and I'm going to run a speed test from my iPhone 13 Pro Max to this wireless access point and see what we get back. So as you can see on the right hand side, that's the results of the test from my iPhone 13 Pro Max to the Engenius Wi-Fi 6 access point. And as you can see, and I would expect them to be higher than that, at least to be around the 800 mark, 900, but it was averaging about 500 down and about the same up, maybe a bit less. But either way, now that might be due to a few things. It could be interference where I am, so I've got other network set up here. I have actually turned off the 2.4 gigahertz and tried a couple of different channels to try and make the speed test better. I did get slightly higher, nearer the 600, but then I tried it again and got the same results, about the 500 mark. So I think it's probably something more to do with my environment than the actual access point itself. Either way, at the speeds that I'm showing there, you won't far go wrong. Okay, so that's my look at the Engenius Wi-Fi 6 access point. Many thanks to Engenius for sending me this unit for review. Like I said earlier, any links below will be affiliate links in this video, so if you do click on one of them, it might just give me a small bit of profit if you're buying this unit. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give us the old thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It'd be really appreciated. It just helps my channel grow. And thanks again for watching the Computer Lab, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.